Good morning. It is the 18th day of May 2021. Good morning once again. Good to see you. How are you doing? You are right in time for Good Morning Kenya. As always, this is the show that kickstarts your day with all that you need to know that happened in the last 24 hours. We are ahead of the pack, right? Yes. My name is Victor Oloo, and I'm not alone. As always, I'm joined by beautiful ladies. Director? Tereng, tereng. There you have it. One, another one, another one, another one. That one, that good. Now you can give us a split. That was a good one. There you go. No. Split. Three. Go. Split. Okay. Either way, you'll have to bring it, all right? So, yes. We are here once again. We appreciate your good time. We hope that you had a good sleep. And of course, whatever you're doing, as always, what you didn't do well yesterday, you have got another chance. That is why we have got a new dawn. As always, my name is Victor Oloo, and the show starts right now. But before then, let them introduce themselves, starting with Jain.
You know, you started by saying today is the 18th of May, and this is a very special date to me.
Yes.
Today, my son is officially a year old.
Kasumbua.
Hey, Alpha. He is Alpha, man. It's been a beautiful year, and of course...
Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday day to me.
Okay.
Today is my birthday day.
Yes,
Last year, today like this.
Things happen.
Things happen.
Exactly 1 year
But
ago.
you know, we always live to appreciate, you know, these days. You know, there's one who, I think it was towards the end of last year when I really started to appreciate birthdays because looking at what a birthday really means, you know, it's something that you should take time to think of and just learn to appreciate yourself. So to everyone who has a birthday today, happy birthday to my sweet little boy. Today is going to be a very emotional day for me, but nonetheless, happy. You know, so many children lose their lives before they get to one. So by virtue of actually just getting to this 1 year mark, that is something I'm thoroughly proud of. So happy birthday day to me.
All right, okay. And even us who've made it this far.
By association.
Yes.
Nonetheless,
to Alpha.
Absolutely, thank you.
Absolutely.
And nonetheless, we have an amazing show lined up. Kawakaida, we thoroughly appreciate you for choosing to start your morning with us. My name is Jain Wambui. Regina.
Indeed, and since it is your birthing date and Alpha's birthday, as a friend, I would want to claim prosperity, harmony, and success to your son Alpha.
You've never seen Jain blush. You've never seen Jain blush.
It's always a mother's wish that their children, you know, become healthy, prosperous, and grow in love and harmony. That's what I claim for you and your son, Jain. So happy birthday to Alpha and happy birthing day to you, Jain. 4 p.m. is the date, right? 4 p.m. is the time.
Ndio kick off. 8:25 ndio final whistle. If you know, you know.
We start the kickoff then. You know, women have shared some tales there during labor. Some strip, some lose their minds, but all in all, we appreciate God for the gift of motherhood.
Truly.
Good morning once again. You're watching KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. And as far as news making headlines in the last 24 hours, now the Senate decided Wajir governor is out on account of gross misconduct. There were 17 cases that were cited and 25 voted to impeach him. He is the third to be impeached, but a place where he got impeached is the same place, same avenue that some got off. We'll be highlighting that as we continue to just hear matters of politics and people's views coming up shortly with Victor. And now Ruto, Raila and Matiang'i are going to be locking horns. Why? The by-elections that are happening in Bonchari that are set for today, as well as in Juja constituency. We remember MP Francis Waitito died of cancer on February 2021, actually 22nd. And he was elected on a Jubilee ticket. So we have Waitito, Susan Jerry, vying for that particular seat under the Jubilee ticket, and Dongo George Kiomburi Progressive Empowerment Party. That is what is happening in Juja constituency. At the same time, in Nyandarua County, we are having a Rori ward by-election, where MCA Mboro Githenji died early this year on the 11th. And we have several candidates there, including our representatives of Jubilee Party, that is Kiringa Peter Githenji, Githaiga Francis Muyo of UDA. And now let's cross over to Bonchari constituency, where Achola Simon is also on standby to bring us up to speed with what is happening on ground there. MP John Oro Oyonka died after long illness beginning of February, that is February 15th in this year, in Kisumu, and he had been elected on a People's Democratic Party ticket. Now, some of those who are going to be main contenders for this particular seat are none other than Omieke Robert Pavel. You remember him of the former EPRA. There under the ODM party ticket. We have Opore Zebedeo John of the Jubilee Party and Oro Teresa Bitutu of the United Democratic Alliance. What we need to know is that after failing to win the recent Kabushai and Matungu by-election, Ruto has really been working hard to just make inroads into Nyanza, to penetrate Nyanza, and he's using Bonchari to penetrate Nyanza ahead of the 2022 elections. Those are some of the stories that are making headlines in the last 24 hours, and we have eyes and ears on ground. So do keep it right here to get, you know, what is going to be happening on ground during those by-elections, as well as other stories, including now Rastafarians want it to be legal to smoke marijuana in public. Will it sell through? These are the details. I mean, someone else take it over after me. We just finished with the marijuana in public there.
It was a moment of silence for
to think
Alpha.
about it.
It was a moment of silence for Alpha. You don't know what, Jain, I'm so lucky. Jain, you're also lucky that the camera didn't get you.
Yes.
Jain was praying. That silent meditation, like, count down to that moment that things happen in the labor ward.
Today,
and
by the way.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Okay. In the headlines, Regina has said it all, but we are going to get more details and give you details what has been happening in the last 24 hours. Of course, matters Juja and Bonchari, and of course we have got our reporters on the ground who are going to give us one-on-one, that is a live feed from such constituencies to give us a feel of what is happening down there on the by-elections. Therefore, we are going to be talking to our reporters later on in the program to just tell us what is happening down there in Juja and Bonchari. All right, so let me start with the Star newspaper here, on the front page of the Star. There we have it. All right. Uhuru and Raila troops mal plan B to salvage BBI. All right. That's on the front page of the Star newspaper. Uhuru and Raila troops mal plan B to save BBI. Despite optimism for a win at the Court of Appeal, pro-BBI forces explore parliamentary process. This is something that we are also going to discuss with our panelists later on in the program to tell us what are some of the chances of going back to Parliament and what are some of the bills that can be amended in Parliament without going to a referendum. All right? Still on the front page of the Star, I almost died in my sleep, says Ghost Mule. Harambee Stars head coach Jacob Ghost Mule says that he's lucky to be alive today. After saying that he's celebrating, the tactician said that he could have easily died in his sleep if he had not made a timely trip to India, where he's currently stuck getting treatment. And of course, we still wish him a quick recovery for him to come back to the country and serve his country. All right. Uhuru and Raila face acid test in mini polls. That is still happening in the Juja and Bonchari by-elections. That is happening right now. The electoral agency will today conduct 2 parliamentary by-elections, likely to give momentum to parties preparing for the 2022 general elections. All right. Something that I know is quite close to Jain. Ban key to spiritual growth. Legalize it. Urge Rastafarians. Okay. Jain.
You woke up and chose violence, Victor.
No. Okay. Pass that. Pass. Let's pass about the Kushipeng. We're going to tell you how it happened. They went to the court yesterday, and they want bank legalized because they say it is key to their spiritual growth. And why Senate team recommended Wajir Governor Abdi's removal. That is also going to be giving. You're going to be given details on what happened in the Senate yesterday evening, and right now he stands impeached. If all goes well, we are also going to have an MCA from Wajir County to give us a feel as well on what's happening in that particular county and what they should expect moving forward. Jain.
Let's now have a quick look at the front page of the Daily Nation this morning. Let's just start with the top right there. And the question is, are you wondering why you still haven't received your Huduma number card? Well, that is a story that has been captured here on the page 3 of the Daily Nation. Just looking at the number of issues that have been brought forth when it comes to the issuance of Huduma card numbers. We'll be coming to it in a bit. On to some health conversations. Is that a big miss on health for all? And once again, Kenya fails to put its cash into what really matters. And this is in regards to the budget that has been allocated to the Ministry of Health in the 2021-2022 financial year. Because, experts were expecting that, funds that would go towards the containment and fight of COVID-19 would be included in this budget, an estimated 34 million. But looking at the budget that has been allocated to the ministry, that figure is not included. We'll be coming to that in a bit. Coming to the main story here on the front page of the Daily Nation is that court throws power plant into a spin. Just looking at last week's judgment declaring the bill to change the constitution null and void has now scuttled a deal for an anticipated super alliance, which of course was hinged upon the proposed creation of new executive positions. Of course, the twists and turns continue to unfold post that particular ruling by the 5-judge bench. We'll be coming to that story in a bit. Finally, why Senate impeached Governor Mahmood. We'll be giving you these details in a bit, and of course further on having a conversation with my colleague in not too long in regards to this particular happening. Ray.
Talking about stories that are making headlines, it seems that the scribes once again have been reading from the same script. And as far as those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours, matters of BBI, we have seen a silent president since that surprise judgment there that, almost put a stop to matters of BBI. But what are the options there in? It seems that BBI promoters are a little bit also just keeping silent over this matter, planning, just being also aware that whatever process that they may get into may not bear fruit. Who am I talking about? Remember, political pundits as well as, politicians themselves have been whispering, saying that this the BBI report and the sailing of it, that particular constitutional amendment bill, might just, change dynamics when it comes to succession politics of 2022. We'll be giving you details in not too long. And also with just the budget presentation just about weeks away. Question is, will it be a populist budget, being that this is the last year, or rather the last term for President Uhuru Kenyatta, as per the constitution there? Will he have met his Big Four agenda, and will the Big Four agenda feature heavily in the budget? Remember, we had so much. We had housing, we had, manufacturing, food security, and affordable housing there, food security and spurring manufacturing. Now, some of the things that have been quoted here on matters finances this morning just notifies that, VAT, 16% VAT will be levied on the supply of ordinary bread. We have 25% on imported glass, excess duty levied on imported motorcycles, just to name but a few. What options then does the National Treasury have? Some of the experts, and I'd want to quote Nikhil Hira, has quoted in this particular pullout of the Standard this morning, that he is the director of Bowman's Kenya. He says that now the taxman, that is the Kenya Revenue Authority, must ease tax filing to boost revenues. We'll be giving you details of this, including where do we stand when it comes to matters of pandemics. How have we, the pandemic that we find ourselves, how are Kenyans reacting to this pandemic, what we're referring to the COVID-19 disruptions. According to a statement here, it indicates that now the pandemic has pushed more people into loans for survival. And this is according to data received by the Central Bank of Kenya that shows personal and household loans have shot up drastically since March last year when the country reported the first case of COVID-19. And, you know, the subsequent COVID-19 disruptions, loss of livelihoods. Now Kenyans have had to look for credit. According to Samuel Nyandemo here, an economics lecturer from the University of Nairobi, the incomes were dwindling, so they had to cushion themselves from the devastating effects of COVID-19, leading them to taking loans. Being that this is an active and a live broadcast, our Twitter handle is at KBC Channel 1 News. Give us your feed in regard to how you have survived and how you continue to survive the COVID-19 disruptions at a time when experts are also warning that the fourth wave might just be more serious than anticipated. Why? Because of the issues of, you know, going back to school, exposure, and the variant that has been reported in the country. That and so much more. Details coming up in not too long. Doreen.
Right. Doreen is missing in action today.
Oh, I kind of assumed that I could see her. Maybe it's just wanting her to be on set. You know, it's usually a team of 4. So we always want to see each other on the same platform. But over to you, Victor. You are equally capable.
Absolutely.
Representing.
Absolutely. I've been called names here. I will tell you about it later on in the program. But I choose peace. All right. So viral video cop says that no one is helping her to stop harassment. There's that cop called Vivian Hailin in Mombasa. And 7 days after the IG, that is Hilary Mutyambai, ordered for a statement, an investigation to be done and a report handed and tabled in his office after 7 days, now it's being revealed that nothing has happened yet, and the lady is still waiting for the report and subsequent action to be taken. She's been requesting and pleading for her to quit service in peace. In fact, she said that she wants to peacefully resign from the service. Now, she's been saying that she's been alleging that over the years, she's been facing a lot of sexual harassment from the male officers just after she was transferred from Kamkunji police station here in Nairobi to Mombasa. And therefore, she said that she's being needed to record a statement at the Central Police Station where she works. But the question is, she's asking herself that how do they expect her to record a statement from the same officers who harass her? How is that even possible? All right? So that is the question. So to date, she has not received any report from the office of the IG. All right, yesterday, Abdi pleaded for leniency as panel backs removal. She was impeached as the Wajir governor. And now, according to panel chaired by Nyamira Senator Okongo Mugeni, announced to gross violation of Article 43(1) of the Constitution on the right to best attainable health standards. And she said that as a result, the committee was sustained the charge on gross violation of the Constitution, the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act, the Public Finance Management Act, and the County Governments Act, but the governor urged the House to carefully study the charge sustained by the committee and give him another chance. He was accused of misappropriation of funds and gross misconduct in the particular county. Of course, we are also waiting to have a Zoom meeting with one of the MCAs from that particular county to give us an insight and a feel on what is happening down that particular county. Now, that story, the Rastafarians went to court yesterday, filed a case by the Rastafari Society seeking legalization of marijuana as essential to the religion. Now, they say that smoking ban is part of Rastafarians' freedom of religion and is essential to grow spiritually and connect with their maker. This is what lawyer Shadrach Wambui told the court yesterday. Now, he represents the Rastafari Society of Kenya, RSK, which is seeking the legalization of bang, which is now illegal in Kenya. Okay, let me quote. Now, for Rasta to enjoy his freedom of religion, for Rasta to fully manifest his faith, it requires of him or her to frequently use marijuana or what is commonly known as kushupeng, Jain, to create that connection between themselves and their maker. Jane, what do they say there, bad?
You are burn, man. You finna burn.
Me don't feel say bad, man.
Well, it's interesting to see what responses will come from this. It's not the first time this has happened. There are even songs that go about saying legalize, legalize, legalize.
Yeah.
And conversations around marijuana has been, or rather have been quite emotive for most people who have been championing it. So we wait and see how this will play out. Ray, unaona zika maneno? What you say about this story?
I was hoping you're kind of going to leave me out of that.
Why?
You know, there's always this misconception that if you have dreadlocks, you are Rastafari. But things are changing, especially when it comes to fashion, sense, and style here, where just having dreadlocks does not necessarily mean you are a Rastafari. But now this plea by Rastafari saying you need to legalize marijuana.
For spiritual reasons.
Yes, for spiritual reasons. It takes me back to a conversation that found itself in the floor of the House at the National Assembly with conversations that we need to legalize marijuana even for medicinal purposes. Well, it's the holy herb, if you believe so, and it grows naturally. Actually, I don't even know if marijuana requires fertilizer. I think a person who consumes it needs to come out and reach out to us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 News. But hey, we say, if you have nothing to say, choose kindness. And I choose to be kind. So Rastafarians want to smoke marijuana in public. I don't know how that will sit with the government, but there are countries where they are actively growing marijuana. One of them being Israel, I think, for medicinal purposes. So it's a matter of how we put it and how we use it.
Absolutely.
But then there's something called third-party smoking. Yeah? Have you ever been in a concert? I remember a reggae concert, and I'm not trying to be very judgy. Luciano, when he came to the country, I attended that concert. And funny enough, I was just at the podium, below the podium, but I never saw what he had on in terms of his feet because it was all smoke. I came to later learn that was weed when I started laughing like a fool.
You know,
so that is third party inhaling.
Speaking of that,
talks about public smoking of marijuana. What happens to the next person who's seated next to you and they're not smoking marijuana?
That goes to even this shows that, not even shows, when we're having cases where they have confiscated marijuana and they burn it in public, in open air. That is now direct infusion. So let's wait and see how this goes. But they're looking at marijuana in some of the states that it is legalized. It's quite a thriving business. It's a very high income generating business for those who have ventured into it, and especially some of those who are specialized into the different strains. There's a whole documentary, many documentaries actually, you can be able to watch and just see how people are making the most out of this herb, and especially medicinal purposes, not just for recreational purposes. So you wait and see how that will play out. Now let's come to the back page of the Daily Nation. And this is in regards to a situation that has been termed as a big miss for the Ministry of Health. And this is in regards to the proposed budget for 2021, financial year 2021-2022. And now It is said that the country has missed the mark again because we are seeing many other countries are putting up, or rather freeing up, resources which are going to be directed towards the financial war against the virus. Kenya, on the other hand, whose budget expenditure has ballooned by nearly 300 billion, is now focusing on how to repay the interests that are mounting in debt. So in this particular budget, it was expected that there would be provision for COVID-19 and COVID-19 interventions, including the purchase of vaccines, testing, as well as scientific research. And just looking at that particular, these expectations that were to be put in the particular, to be accounted for in the cost, there was an estimated 34 billion that was supposed to be in this budget that would go towards the vaccinating of 30% of the population. But looking at the proposed budget, the ministry has been allocated 121 billion Kenya shillings. And compared to the financial year 2019-2020, the budget that was allocated to the ministry was 119 billion Kenya shillings this current financial year that we are in. And experts have come out to say that this is just shooting ourselves in the foot, because just getting to the details of this particular budget is that they've also cut budgets of the two biggest referral hospitals, that is the Kenyatta National Hospital and the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, which have received 15.2 billion and 11.2 billion Kenya shillings respectively. And looking at the cuts that they have had to experience is that Kenyatta has had its budget cut by 100 million Kenya shillings, and Moi Teaching and Referral has had its budget cut by 200 million Kenya shillings. So what does this say about the plans that the country has in line with fighting COVID-19 and containing the pandemic, and especially now that we are witnessing a new variant here in the country? So critics have had a lot to say about this, and they are saying that we are definitely facing the wrong direction when it comes to the fight against COVID-19. Ray, imagine that.
Now, talking about, did you mention matters of COVID-19? We want to look at what is happening across Tanzania. Remember, now Tanzania had denied vehemently the issue of COVID-19 for a year. But now with the change of guard at the top of the helm, it seems things are changing. Now, a report by a task force in Tanzania has acknowledged that the first case of COVID-19 were reported in the country in March 2020, and now says Tanzania is confirming COVID-19 and warns of serious third wave. Now, part of the report further says that we also recommend the herbal medicines being promoted as cures of COVID-19 be put under rigors of science. Suluhu there, Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu there, just changing how things are and as far as matters of health in neighboring Tanzania could be. Now, talking about matters of human interest, last week you highlighted what was happening within the South African judiciary, that now plans are underway to have a change in policy. Now, the country Department of Home Affairs recently published a policy document pushing for polyandry. What does polyandry mean? That a woman can have several husbands. While South Africa and Kenya are quite similar in this, because in Kenya, the law recognizes polygyny, where a man can marry more than one wife. But now these things are changing in South Africa. And this article written here is just an opinion in regard to that matter, where the person contributing says that in as far as, you know, they are happy about it, it's because slowly by slowly patriarchy is getting dismantled and gender equality is gaining ground. I don't know what you have to say in regard to that matter there, issue of polyandry. I don't think in the current society right now, the issues of marriage are quite emotive, and men already in South Africa are not happy about that particular proposal. They are calling it a mockery of the marriage institution. And let me be the devil's advocate before I throw it to you, Victor and Jain. So it becomes a mockery of a marriage institution when a woman now goes for equal rights when it comes to her partners there, but it was okay if the man had several wives. We were not making a mockery out of the marriage institution. While you're still pondering on that and ready to respond, according to grey divorce, or other matters of divorce, there's someone here who's saying money is not the only glue that can hold a marriage together. And they go forward to say today, walking out of a marriage is not as stigmatized as it was once. If one is miserable in a relationship, they can walk away instead of spending their sunset years dragging a toxic weight. But the question is, ukiwachwa utawachika? Ama ukiwachana utawachana kabisa?
As we take a breather, we'll be back to answer that. Stay with us.
And it's busy actually.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We do appreciate you for continuing on this journey with us. In case you're just joining us, my name is Jain. This is Good Morning Kenya, and we are right in the middle of In the Headlines. This is where we get to have a look at the papers this morning. And before we get to continue, before the break, Ray ulikuwa umeuliza swali nyeti hapo. Ningependa uitukue tena.
Now, this is in regard to the proposal document down in South Africa there, where there's a proposal to support, or rather include, or make it okay for women to have multiple partners, husbands to be precise. That is what we refer to as polyandry. Currently, they recognize polygyny just as Kenya. And the scribe in this particular daily that I was borrowing from has also quoted and contributors saying that money is not only the only glue that keeps together a marriage. And they went further to say that these days it is not, there's no much stigma for a man or a woman leaving their marriage, unlike it was before, because people have realized, or are slowly realizing, that toxic relationship equals to dead weight that would affect their performance at the present and the future. Then the question I posed unto you then, ukiwachwa utawachika, ama ukiwachana, are you ready to live with the consequences? You know, we know that there are people out here who are quite jealous. They walk out, but they still want to maintain what they walked out on. That's a bit also very toxic, don't you think?
Absolutely, and that boils down to relationships. You know, they usually say that if you are still friends with your ex, it's one of two things. Either you are still into them, or you never really were. You know? And looking at just that example you've given, Ray, when you've gone your separate ways and one still wants to be involved in the other person's life in a very unhealthy way, and mostly because of jealousy, just to see if they can move on without you, or to prove a point. Toxicity. It presents itself in subtle ways like that when you're honest. And that's why we were talking about this yesterday, Victor, where you see so many people getting back with their exes because maybe one of the partners alikataa kuachika, you know? Na anataka hataki the other partner to get to move on. So if you mutually agree to go your separate ways, please, mukubali kuachana, and you go your separate ways in peace. And that, by virtue of that, things are definitely going to change. Whether you like it or not, you cannot continue communicating the way you used to communicate, and you are not in a relationship anymore. You cannot continue to be as close as you used to be before. Given you have chosen to go your separate ways, the least you can do in terms of communication is just be cordial, especially if there are kids involved in that particular case. But otherwise, mtu achane na mwenzako, endelee na maisha yake. But this story, what's happening down in South Africa, I think it's about time. For whatever reasons, they decided to make this proposal basing it on issues of equality. They have weighed and seen that uko hivi by the situation yetu iko hivi, because in the West we're having thruples that are thriving. You know, 3 people who are in one marriage and they're thriving. So maybe we also have to keep up with the times, you know. Victor.
Victor.
All right.
As you clear your throat.
Two issues. One,
Yes.
the issue with South Africa, I'll still go back and base it.
The Bible.
The Bible.
Please, no.
That's my argument. While you're speaking, I was completely quiet.
Now it is your turn.
Ray doesn't want to hear this. I know. But hey, let's just pick it. When relationship hits rock bottom, the only thing that can happen is go your separate ways. It helps a lot. But one thing that should happen is respect. Respect each other's space. That's it. All right? Two people are human. I mean, you're all human beings coming from different backgrounds. Just respect that space and let it be so. If you're not meant to be, treat it as such. Let's go to South Africa. All right. So, equality. Well, according to them, there's something, Jain, you've said they have seen and they've tested, and they now want to make certain changes in their constitution or whatever, you know, the marital laws in their land. That works for them. But the question is, how is it going to work? Okay? Male species are always known to be dominant. We always want to dominate our spaces. Even animals.
Very possessive.
Exactly. Even animals. You've seen bulls fighting.
Kajogo.
Kajogo, they fight. Even lions, even animals in the jungle fight because they want to dominate that particular kingdom. So male species, whether animals, as human beings, I don't know how it will work out. Maybe, just maybe, they will give a lot of civic education down there in that country so that it can sink in them. But I can just imagine that.
We're not ready for that.
Just
and it coming from a whole Department of Home Affairs.
I'm just imagining Ben, Kamuti, and I Namato
na Ukinyi
sharing Jain. As in, just asking.
It's the 21st century.
Ben is our producer. Mato is another one. So who is the legit hubby? Or all of us have the same share?
Sindio. Ella.
Apana. All right.
But we definitely wait to just see how this will play out.
Yeah.
As we have had the men already disappointed. So what's at one? If they will act out, if they will come with a counter proposal, we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Okay. Talk of that. Now, House Speaker Justin Muturi hold up for secret rituals to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. Listen to this. Speaker not allowed to leave his house or see a woman, and eats special diet for 8 days in seclusion before he's crowned at shrine in Murang'a. Now, Speaker Justin Muturi is currently in seclusion as part of the preparations for his crowning at the Mount Kenya spokesman this weekend. Now, the Speaker cannot leave his house or see a woman and eats a special diet for 8 days while in seclusion. He's allowed to only eat to see and meet certain people, elders who are cleansed for the period. Men who can sire children are barred from meeting the initiate.
Oloo.
The Speaker is said to be crowned in an elaborate ceremony at the historic Mukure wa Nyagathanga, right? I got it right. Shrine in Gaturi, Murang'a County. Yes.
When we say culture still has a firm grip.
Exactly.
In this 21st century, that is exactly what we mean.
And you see, those wazees have a say.
And so much power.
So much power. And it doesn't matter who you are. When it comes to culture and respecting, you know, the wazees, there are certain beliefs and there, you know, some powers that they have that if you go against, and that is why even this, you know, the elite, for example, Speaker, he will have to bend backwards and just accept when wazee speak. So that goes back to vijana wa siku hizi. Let me just put it. Mzee ananiambia, wewe unaniambia nini? These wazees are there for a purpose.
I have a question, Victor.
Right, sure. Go ahead.
He's going to be crowned as a spokesperson of Mount Kenya, right?
Right, yes.
Were members of Mount Kenya by birth and not registration like one, such as I consulted?
Well, personally, I think this has been...
No, you don't even need to answer.
Okay.
And also, I think during the trending topics, there's a conversation we'd want to have. There's an issue of spiritualism that is gaining ground in Mount Kenya, where people are being forced to make blood sacrifices and women are forced to undergo circumcision so that they can actually be recognized as fully fledged members of Mount Kenya, especially the Agikuyu. We are going to be highlighting that on Thursday as we talk about trending topics, especially on issues and matters that touch on social development of Kenyans. I was just asking a question. I have no problem at all with the issues going, or rather the crowning of Justice Muturi there as the Speaker of Mount Kenya, spokesperson of Mount Kenya there. Some good news, Victor, before you take us down to Bonchari, where we're having a by-election, is that there's now hope for farmers, and we're talking about banana farmers as Koreans go bananas for the Kenyan fruit. Remember the avocado that found its market in China? Now we're having a market for green banana. One of chief officers of trade in Nyamira County says that there's no justification as to why farmers down there should not grab that opportunity to actually supply this particular fruit so that they can make a living. Victor.
All right. And on that note, we told you that and as expected, we have got two by-elections, actually three happening, but we are focusing on Bonchari as we speak right now. Just to give us a feel on what's happening on the ground, we are joined by our reporter, Achola, that is Simon Achola in Bonchari, to give us a feel. There you have it. Simon Achola, good morning, up and early. Please just take us through what is happening in Bonchari right now, having in mind that the polling stations open at 6. What is the situation right now in Bonchari constituency in Kisii? Simon.
Quite a peaceful morning here in Bonchari constituency, that is in Kisii County, of course, that follows the drama that was actually witnessed yesterday night as, of course, various political players throwing words at each other over alleged electoral practices that was expected to happen today. Of course, as we speak right now, we've not seen any, but as I speak to you right now, the process began at around 6 a.m. in the morning as was planned. And as I speak to you, voters are streaming into polling stations across this constituency just to ensure that indeed they can actually participate in their constitutional right, which is, of course, casting the vote for the person they prefer to actually be their leader moving forward. Of course, this follows the death of the immediate former member of parliament for this constituency, John Oloo, who actually passed on in Kisumu after a long illness. And as I speak to you right now, about 52,262 registered voters in this constituency will be going to about 103 polling stations across the constituency just to participate in this very important task. As I speak to you right now, we are at Suneka primary polling station, and the candidate who has actually cast her vote just now is Teresa Bitutu. Now, Teresa is vying on a new UDA ticket, and Teresa is actually the widow of the immediate former MP of this constituency. And as I speak to you right now, she's actually just addressing the media. And Victor, what we can actually report is that members of the public or the registered voters in this constituency have actually streamed in polling station, and the process is going on peacefully, albeit with small hiccups here and there. Where initially we were at Suneka Baraza Hall polling station, and what witnessed was that a number of registered voters who actually turned up had difficulties in terms of identifying their name actually being identified in the register, and also getting to the right position where they're actually supposed to vote. And the process has also been a little bit slower than I expected, because usually in by-elections you don't see such queues, but of of course, we are witnessing that here. So what we'll do is that we will try as much as we can, Victor, so that then we get to see what Teresa Bitutu is actually saying, because Teresa has been here and since morning, and she has actually just cast her vote, and will be moving so that then we are in a position to get to hear what she will be saying. She's been addressing the media since morning, about 5 minutes ago when she came here, and just my cameraman is trying to get it right so that then we can actually move to where she is and we can get what she's
we do not have a problem, but we have a problem where the police are out.
Okay, right. That is our reporter Simon Achola in Suneka Primary School. That is a polling station in Bonchari constituency, giving us an update on what's happening there during the by-election. And we are just going to connect with him shortly once we get that signal right. And he's rightly put it that the turnout is slightly slow, as not normally expected. And being that it's just a by-election, it's a matter of wait and see how it's going to pan out, because polling stations will run up to 5 p.m. In some instances, the IBC might decide to extend the voting time, and those are some of the live pictures from Bonchari constituency in Kisii County. All right. So, Simon, the issues of security were raised by certain leaders there. Probably can just give us a feel on what's happening there, Simon? All right.
But this,
okay.
In this polling station, there's no harassment. One of my key campaigner was arrested. The wife was arrested at the night when they do not get the man in the house, and that is what is worrying me. But let me pray for the full day. I don't know what will happen during the day, but I pray God all will go well. Thank you.
I don't know, what's your message maybe to those who are...
The message to the people, let people be calm and do their votes in peace.
Okay.
And also, I'm requesting the government of Kenya to be kind, mostly to me, because I'm out because of my husband died. That's why I came out to defend the seat. And I don't see whether there is any mistake. Whenever I'm in you, there's no problem. There's no problem. It is government. I'm a Kenyan, so there's nothing wrong. Whenever I join to the government, I would still do anything, all the work which is being done in the constituency. Thanks.
Well, Victor, that is Teresa Bitutu, to the later Parliament Bonchari constituency, of course, just saying what has actually that you're actually raising when she was speaking about security, and she's saying that one of her security personnel has actually been arrested by the police, of course, over a number of reasons, but she's also putting it out to the government that she is the widow, of course, we know that, but if there's something that she can actually do, despite the fact that she's actually gunning for this ticket on a UDA ticket, that she will be more than willing to actually serve this government. But just going back to what you had asked about security. Indeed, security has actually been beefed up here in Bonchari constituency since yesterday. We have seen there's a heavy presence of police on the roads, and of course, especially the roads that are actually leading to polling stations. What has been happening is that members of the public who have actually participated in this exercise, that is voting, they're actually told to move as far as they can from the polling station. At Suneka Baraza Hall polling station, we've actually witnessed members of the public trying to eject one of the officials who was actually just standing by the gate, and of course they called for the support of the security agents there to try and eject that lady. Of course, they were raising concern about her presence at that very position, and they were asking why she was actually standing there after she had actually cast her vote. Of course, that happens in many many by-election, of course, elections in this country where, of course, each and every person is suspicious of anyone actually standing next to polling station. Other than that, the process has actually been going on smoothly. We have not witnessed arrests this morning or electoral malpractices, as you might actually put it. But so far, so good. And of course, we'll be keeping a keen eye on exactly what will be happening here in Bonchari constituency. And of course, our viewers will be the first to get to know what is happening here on the ground. Victor.
Simon, in 1 minute before I let you go, what is the social distance like? Because IEB said that they are going to follow the health protocol to ensure that the COVID protocol is observed during these by-elections.
The health protocols that have actually been stipulated by the health ministry will remain just that on paper. But what my colleague can actually, if he can actually just pan on his left, so that then we can actually get to see the pictures, that you can actually see there's no much in terms of adherence to social distance here. We've seen a number of people coming here with masks, and a number of them, of course, are actually being the temperature is actually being taken just at the gate. If my colleague can actually just pan to that lady in the picture now, that lady is the one who's actually been taking temperatures of each and every person who's actually coming. You can see the thermogun, and then thereafter, of course, she is insisting that each and every person who's actually coming in should be putting on a mask. Must adhere to the social distance protocol. But of course, we know what is likely to happen in this situation. Yes, most of them are actually putting on their masks. Most of them have actually been, the temperatures have actually been taken, but that is as far as it goes in terms of adhering to health protocols that are actually supposed to check the spread of COVID-19 in the country.
All right, and again, one more question. It has to be one more. Simon, the issue of voter turnout, how is it like right now?
Victor, the history of by-elections in the country, usually the voter turnout is between, the lowest I remember was in when we had about 33% voter turnout. Of course, it ranges between 33 to around 67 or 70%, the highest, of course, being around 80. So we are expecting that it will be varying within that range. Since morning, we've seen a number of people streaming in polling stations, as I've said, and we saw at various polling stations, of course, people coming in, and there were a number of people who actually still queuing, who are still on the queue, waiting to actually cast their vote. So then it means that a number of people have actually come out as expected. And Teresa Bitutu has also just called on members of the registered voters in this constituency to actually come out and participate in this very important task of actually choosing who will be the representative in the National Assembly moving forward. So we are expecting that indeed members of the public, or those who have actually been registered to participate in this exercise in this constituency, will be coming out to actually ensure that they participate in this vote. But so far, so good, and we're expecting that they will continue trickling in up until later in the day, when the polling stations are actually expected to close at around 5 p.m. in the evening.
All right, Simon, I think we can just leave at that particular point. I'm so sure you have got a very long day ahead of you, because you'll have to wait, you have to traverse the entire constituency and give us an update on what's happening there, and of course until later in the day. Sometimes you transnight until you get the last bit of the vote being counted and ultimately the winner announced by the IBC. Simon, please keep forth there, and Traverse will keep in touch with you later on to give us just what's happening on the ground. That is our reporter Simon Achola in Bonchari constituency, in particular Suneka Primary School, where is a voting polling station at that particular constituency. Okay, so let's take a break, but when we come back, the show will continue. People in politics, but before then we'll also be joined by Gladys Muigai, who is at Juja constituency, to also give us just a touch on what's happening in that particular constituency. We have you covered 360 degrees. Keep it right here. We'll be right back after this break.